Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Suffer Up podcast with Nate, Ryan, and our guest today, Scott Weidenbacher. Hope I said that right. Did I say it right, Scott?
You did. You got it.
All right, perfect. Well, thanks so much for tuning in, guys, to the Suffer Up podcast with Nate and Ryan, where our mission is to encourage and lead others to suffer with a purpose. We strive to help others level up in life with an emphasis on spiritual, mental, and physical well-being. Again, these are the voices of Nate and Ryan. If this is the first time you have tuned into the channel, thank you so much for joining in with us. But you've got a lot of catching up to do. So go back and listen to some more episodes. But today, we just want to give a very special thank you and shout out to our sponsors and supporters of this channel. First and foremost, they've been with us since the beginning. Soft Socks. Soft Socks makes a compression fitting toe sock for your feet that we have worn on all of our ultras and long runs. We're very thankful for them. They're veteran owned and a great company and great people behind it. If you would like to try a pair for yourself, you can use discount code SUFFER10 to receive 10% off at checkout. And all of these sponsorship and affiliate links you can find in our link tree in the description of this podcast. Second and new to the lineup is Muckender's Wipes. If you are a trail runner, a blue collar man, or just a hardworking individual that gets dirty a lot, you want to check out Muckender's Wipes. They're it's in the name, End to the Muck with Muckenders, and you can use code SUFFERUP to receive a discount on checkout for their wipes. They are plant-based, good for your skin, and non-caustic. As a fireman, I use them after cleaning up after a fire or just getting dirty. So we love Muckenders on the trail as well as on our job. And also, we are proud to announce that we have also accepted a new sponsorship and affiliate to the channel, and that is 55 Miles. 55 Miles makes a completely organic lubricant and blister prevention for all the areas that are prone to chafing on your runs. We have tested them in the hot Florida sun, and we have absolutely loved it. It has been durable and has prevented blisters and chafing to our bodies and feet. If you would like to get a hold of some of that and support a small business here in America, you can use discount code SUFFERUP to receive 20% off of their products. They also make this hat, which is an ice hat that I've been using, and I have really enjoyed it. 55 Miles with Kramer. We're thankful for them. Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode today with Scott Weidenbacher.
Scott, welcome, man.
Hey, Ryan. How you doing, man? Thank you.
Good. It's good to see you again.
Yeah,
I
good to
haven't
see you
seen you
guys.
since our punch out run.
Yeah, that was a great run too. You guys did a good job.
Thank you, man. Yeah, you guys were
Yeah,
some of the, I think your team was the first to sign up, actually.
yeah. We were excited about it.
That's awesome.
There's not too many races here near where we live, as you guys know. So having you guys, right down the road, 15 minutes was awesome. Great
Yeah.
experience, great job, great course setup.
Thank you. We appreciate
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
We tried really hard and we're trying hard to
hmm
make it even better next year. So, uh,
Awesome.
share the word.
Yeah, well, for sure.
So we had an
Um,
8 hour loop. Should we have a shorter loop, longer loop? What? Give us some feedback on the actual race. What do you think?
So what we were thinking? My wife and I were brainstorming a little bit. So maybe a last man standing category as well. Go as many laps as you want, nonstop, and when the last person taps out, it's over.
It's be patient. It's in our radar.
yeah,
Awesome.
It's in
Looking
our
forward to
radar.
that for sure. Then,
Yeah.
yeah, that's great. That's great.
separate event on the radar.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
It's
perfect.
been discussed, but one of us wants to do one first before we commit to actually hosting one.
Okay,
I I feel like it would be kind of hypocritical to host one and never having ran one. So,
okay,
I
okay.
mean, we don't have to
I
do it
see.
that
Yeah,
way, but I would
sure.
like to participate in one before. So it's
Well,
definitely on our radar. So stay tuned, listeners. We'll see what happens with that.
awesome. When you decide which one you want to do, let me know, and I'll do it with you.
I
Very
appreciate
good.
it. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
That'd be great. Awesome. Well,
Well, heck
Scott,
yeah, man.
again, thank you so much for jumping on here with us. And we are excited to get into your story and kind of your why and all that stuff. But before we get into that part of it, if you could just tell us a little bit about you, some of your background history, just so that our listeners can kind of get to know who you are.
Sure, sure. So yeah, so I'm married. My wife, Patty Weidenbacher, she is ultimately my best friend, and I've got two grown children, a 26-year-old daughter, Bailey, 23-year-old son, Gavin. Bailey lives in Washington State, and Gavin lives in Louisiana. We're all from Louisiana, Baton Rouge area. My wife and I, Patty, we moved here to Pensacola 4 years ago, and man, it was the greatest move we ever made. We love it here at Pensacola. We've made some really good friends. A lot going on. So her and I are just here by ourselves, and the kids are grown in a way. So her and I have a lot of time to train and spend time together, which, we're at the beach on the weekends. We're training during the day, early mornings, late evenings. And that's, kind of a quick little background on me. So
That's
Very
awesome.
good.
I love
yeah,
that you guys do this stuff together, and it's not just like you're out running all the time and she's just hanging
yeah.
out.
There's a little bit of trash talking from her. She likes to do a little bit of trash talking. So we get into some friendly competitive banter every once in a while, but we
Yeah,
we ultimately do it all together for sure.
that's
So
She's
awesome.
faster than I am.
But
well,
you
that was
can
my next
go the
question.
distance.
Who's the better runner?
So it depends on what we're talking about. She is definitely way faster than I am, and if the goal today were to go run a half marathon, she's gonna beat me by at least a half hour. If the
Wow.
goal today is to go run 50 miles, we're gonna finish a lot closer, and it'll be a more competitive race.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
good.
yeah,
Nice.
Yeah, it's always good to know.
That is so
It's
cool.
with the recent Cocodona race that they had, in the women's performance there, they like showed up and showed out. And
yeah, yeah.
if you listen to Cameron Haynes's podcast, he thinks that the magic potion
Hmm.
to just endurance is estrogen because there's something there. Like, I don't know,
He
women
could be
just
on.
have an ability to endure the pain for sure.
He could be onto something, because here lately it's been a lot of the females that are winning those races.
Yeah,
In years past, I mean, you'd have 3 or 4 males finish prior to a female. It's an even playing field now. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
it really
I think
is.
you had
Yep.
Rachel
Yep.
Entrecan, Courtney DeWalter, all these people in the top
Yep.
10. And I mean, they
Yep.
were really competing for first place the whole time.
Yeah.
And then Rachel just ran away with it. But
Yep. Yep.
man,
Yep.
yeah, I definitely don't start a run at the start line with all these women and think, oh, I'm going to blow them out of the water. No,
No. No.
not in
No.
running.
No. No.
Especially
It's
these
a
ultras,
different
man.
animal.
You have
Yeah,
to
especially
almost
the
just
ultras.
eat some humble pie. Like if a woman passes you, it's okay. Like
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
the playing field is even. It's equal.
It
Yeah.
is. It is.
on
Yeah. Anytime I toe the line, all I want to do, my goal is just to finish. And I don't care if I finish dead last. My goal is just to finish. And I'm
Yeah.
okay with whoever beats me.
Right.
it's a pretty good
That's
goal.
true.
Yeah. Yeah.
On my 100 mile, I got behind this old lady. I say old, respectfully old. She's like 50s, 60s, and she's just bebopping along in front of me. And I'm like, you look like you've done this before. And she's like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I've done a few ultras. And she starts naming stuff off. And I'm like, holy smokes, this lady's way
Yeah.
out of my league. I need to slow down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan, I like how you started that with this old lady, 50s or 60s, because that's
Yeah.
my age.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
That's
sorry,
my
perfect.
Scott.
age.
Older than me.
Right. Right.
Well, very good. So we've already kind of alluded to it, Scott, and we got a little bit of your background, but if what has so like how did you get into running? Have you always been a runner, or did you find running? Like all of us runners, and you're an ultra runner and all that.
Yeah.
We all
Yeah.
have a story and all that stuff. So tell us a little bit about like how you got into running and what running has done for you.
Yeah, sure. So I was never always a runner. I played team sports growing up. I played team sports through high school, baseball, played golf, basketball, but there's not much room for 5'7" guys in basketball right now, so I didn't go very far in that. But
Yeah.
baseball was always my sport.
Yeah.
Loved baseball, and early in my life, I was 13 years old, got diagnosed with Crohn's disease. So it made it really hard to go on, long weekend travel trips because of fatigue. I was anemic and had some side effects of the Crohn's. So ultimately,
Sure.
around 16, 17 years old, finally stopped playing baseball, and I played softball here and there, just kind of pick up basketball games and just things that I enjoy doing.
Sure.
Um, and I really didn't get. I've always worked out. I've always lifted weights and done minimal cardio. Honestly, it wasn't until I met Patty that we started doing some Spartan races together. We would train for Spartan races, and we would go out there and we did a lot of Spartan sprints, and then the supers, and then we did a couple of the Spartan Beast races. And they're really, it's a really good time. It was a fun time. I always struggled at the running part of those Spartan races. I was really good at the obstacles and the strength challenges, but I was really weak in the running part. So I
Yeah.
found that I was kind of losing a lot of time on the running aspect. So, one I say off season, about in wintertime, I really focused on the running to improve my Spartan races. Well, a 1 mile run turned into a 2 mile run to a 3 mile. And I really ultimately fell in love with running. So at
Yeah.
that point, that was, 2014 to 2016. And that's kind of when I got into running, ran a few 5Ks, a couple of half marathons. I think 2018, I ran my first full marathon and was hooked from there.
Yeah.
I enjoy the longer distances. I'm not, like I said earlier, I'm not fast by any means. So me going out and running a 5K and finishing in 38 minutes, it was fun, but it wasn't
Yeah.
it wasn't ultimately what I was looking for. When I
Sure.
found ultras, when I found a 50K and a 50 miler, and ultimately my first ultra was a 50 miler, the training that my friend and I put in for that race, and ultimately at the finish line, I almost had a feeling of it was, I don't know, it was almost euphoric. Like I just ran 50 miles. Like I had
Yeah.
no idea at 18 years old that I would ever be able to do that. And I just fell in love with it from there. And that was, like I said, 2018, 2019. And something about training for an ultra and the pain cave people talk about and the feeling, when you finish a race and during that training block, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And, if somebody gave me an option now to go run 100 miles or a 10K, I'm going to pick the 100 miler
Mhm.
every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
That's really cool that you
Yep.
say that Spartan races kind of got you into that. I was just
Yeah.
listening
Yeah.
to Andy Glaze's book a few weeks
hmm
back, and he
Great
talks
book.
about
Yeah.
how
It's a great book.
Spartan races were his thing for a
hmm
while,
Yep.
and it kind of led him down the same path of the ultra
Yeah.
running world.
Yep. Yep. We went, and ultimately the reason we stopped doing the Spartan races, and they were a blast. They didn't have a lot close to us. We were living in Louisiana at the time, and
Yeah,
they would have one or two within driving distance, but we were having to travel. When you have two of you and you're traveling, and the race entries are expensive, and it's $1,000 weekend, so
Yeah.
yeah,
we kind of, that kind of helped as well. We started looking at running races, and but when you can run, like you guys race for under $100 and it's local and you don't have to travel, it's
Yeah.
so much more convenient. It doesn't take up 4 or 5 days, and you're taking 2 days
Yeah.
off of work to do the travel. So,
yep,
that was a factor in it as well. But, just the train, like I mentioned, the train block, when you've got a buddy waiting on you every morning at 5 a.m. because you got a 10-mile run that day. And the goal is I'm not letting my buddy down because he's doing it whether I'm there or not. I'm
Right.
showing up, so there's a
Yeah.
little bit of, he's waiting on me, I'm waiting on him. So we're doing this thing together. So same thing with my wife. She works during the day, and if she wants to get her workout in the morning, we got to be up at a certain time, 3:30,
Oh, yeah.
4:30 in the morning to get it done. And if we don't, then we know when she gets home at 6 o'clock in the evening, we got 10 miles to do, or 8 miles, or whatever that day calls
No.
for. So yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
yep,
That's really good. Yeah, ultras, I mean, we've said it before on the podcast where ultras, it really puts you in a totally different headspace than,
it
even
does.
just like a 4 hour race. I mean, even, some really fast people can run an ultra in 4 hours, but I don't think it's
Yeah,
any of us.
sure,
But,
sure.
for the most part, yeah, I'm talking to you too, Ryan.
not yet.
To run a to run a four under 5 hour 50K is impressive, right?
Yeah,
I
it
can
So,
really
do that.
is. Yeah,
but yeah,
yep,
it's definitely, it's something special. I know we talked about it before, but we always like
yep,
to ask people why,
yeah,
why
yeah,
ultras and just why running in general.
sure, sure.
So that's really good. And
Yeah,
then
and what Ryan, Nate, one more thing on that, the community for an ultra. The community
oh
at an
yeah.
Oh
ultra
yeah,
event is so much different than a shorter race.
hmm
yep,
Everybody is just, I mean, you're there and everybody is supporting each other. It's just the
yeah.
camaraderie built up during an ultra. It's like none other.
I
Yeah.
mean, you're stuck
Yep,
with these people for 8+
true.
hours. You better
Yeah.
get to know them and be nice.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's true.
Yep.
Everybody's gonna
Yep.
know the jerk on the trail, let me tell you.
Yeah,
Yeah. And two, I mean, if you go back and listen to last week's episode where it launched, at the time of this recording, it was the same time that, or this week rather, but we did a episode just on trail running.
Okay.
And, we referenced it before. It's like, you got the marathoners, nothing against marathoners, but the marathoners are the ones that, they've got like their high-end carbon plated shoes. They're out for performance. They're out for this. The aid stations are, I mean, quite honestly, they're pathetic. It's gels and, a splash of water. Whereas you go to the trail running community, I mean, it's a family potluck at
it's
all
a
these aid
Yep.
stations.
party. Yeah,
It's a
Yeah.
party.
It's a buffet. Yep.
Yeah, it really is. So I mean, the ultra running community and just I don't even have to put the word ultra, just trail running in general as
Yeah,
just
sure, sure.
it's the
Yep,
salt of the earth for sure.
yep,
And
yep,
the people we've gotten to meet is just incredible.
yep,
In lieu of running, I think you're aware, but we're actually doing the Run Red 26 across the lower part of Alabama
yep.
on June 2nd this year to
Hmm.
raise money for Red Flamingo, and their whole mission is to redefine next and optimize your life, and ultimately stop suicide prevention. The owner, Nick Redhead, lost his brother. We did an episode with him as well. I think you
Hmm.
said you listened to that. Is that right,
I
Scott?
did, yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. To
So yeah,
stop
we're doing that run.
suicide, not stop suicide prevention.
Yep.
They're all
Well, did
about
I say,
suicide
well,
prevention.
yes, correct. Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, I
Yeah.
misspoke. But yes, to ultimately stop suicide. So, yeah, they are awesome foundation, and so we'll be running for them. And from what I understand, Scott, you have a little bit of a story or a why behind some of your ventures. You want to go ahead and
I do.
explain some of that?
Yeah, sure, sure. Yeah, so June 5th of last year, I got, I was working for a company and I do IT sales, so I sell IT solutions. I was working for a company. Me and about 250 of my coworkers got invited to a Teams call one morning, and you couldn't really see who was on the call. The cameras were blocked, the microphones were blocked, and as soon as the HR representative was on the phone, we all pretty much knew what was happening. So, unfortunately, 250 of us got laid off on the same day.
Uh,
It was June 5th of last year, and I told my wife, I kind of after I kind of gathered myself and thought for a couple of minutes, I was like, you know what, I have a really strong resume. I've been doing this a long time. It's not going to take me more than a month to find another job. A lot of people hire, and we'll be fine. Well, 7 months later, I was still looking for a job. I'd applied for probably 100 jobs through, job posts and LinkedIn and all the platforms. And, I would have some interviews. I had some third interviews, and just nothing was going my way. So, you know, 2 months in, 3 months in, I'm starting to, feel a little different than I usually feel. My energy wasn't there, and didn't have much of a drive, didn't have very much motivation. And, I kind of knew in my head I was depressed, but, unfortunately, we don't want to say that word very often or very loud. And I think my wife knew it as well, even though she didn't say anything, she didn't bring anything to my attention. I'm sure she knew it as well. Uh, there would be mornings, unfortunately, that I would see her get dressed for work, and she would leave, and I would get back in bed until 2 o'clock, and make sure that I was out of bed before she got home, so she wouldn't have to see me, and put on the happy face when she got home. And it just kind of got a little worse from there. Every time I would get an email saying I didn't get the job, or would move to a different direction, I would feel myself getting a little worse and a little worse. And 5 months in, it was September 16th. I remember the date like it was yesterday. I was out cutting the grass, and I saw some sheriffs down the road, and you know, didn't think too much of it. Nothing going on. They're patrolling. It's all good. Well, um, neighbor drove down the road, from the far end, and he kind of waved to us, rolled down his window, and he's like, "Man, y'all know what's going on?" Like, no, everything's good. There, I kept cutting the grass, and long story short is a friend of mine lives in the neighborhood, married, 3 young children under the age of 10, works was in the U.S. Navy, worked for the Blue Angels, did logistics for the Blue Angels. Tyler, unfortunately, he took his own life, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. Like I had never felt the knot I did in my stomach like I did that afternoon. I got nauseous. I got just sick, and I had no idea when I heard the name. Oh, Tyler, Tyler took his life. I didn't think it was my friend Tyler. I thought it was somebody different. And I called my wife, and I'm like, it was Tyler. I kept her up, I was letting her know, hey, sheriff's down the road, don't know what it is. But when I found out it was Tyler, I'll never feel that. I'll never know or experience that feeling like that again. My depression was so bad at that point that I had thoughts going through my head, and not good thoughts by any means, and was questioning my self-worth and my self-value, and really wondering what my place was, and am I going to find a job again, and am I ever going to get out of this, and how do I get out of this?
Yeah.
And at that point, when I found out that was Tyler, I knew me not having a job was minimal at that point, because his family was never going to get to see him again, and it changed my life that day forever.
Yeah.
So I consider Tyler my angel, because unfortunately he took his own life, but it saved my life, if that makes sense. I don't
Yeah.
want to sound like I'm diminishing what he did, but it saved my life because I was almost to that point.
Yeah. those people that have been impacted or affected by suicide, people that have ended their life like um, on their own accord, if you will, it impacts people differently,
Yep.
and it's kind of a ripple effect.
Hmm.
Like you cast the stone into the pond, there's ripples, and those ripples affect people in different ways. And
Yep.
you can
Yep.
either, as our saying is, you can either suffer well, suffer up, and
Mm.
find purpose in that low season, right?
Yep.
Or
Yep.
you can just kind of wallow in your pity. So,
Yep.
uh,
Yep. And
I I commend
I,
you.
I think about Tyler every day, obviously, and it's kind of funny because it's not like we were the greatest friends. I'm probably his parents' age, and he's y'all's age, and he would stop in a neighborhood. We live on the corner, so you have to pass our house to get to his house. Every time he
Mm,
would pass by, he'd stop and roll the window down and would talk. LSU
yeah,
football. He was a big Georgia Bulldog fan. We would talk, Georgia LSU, and maybe a little bit of smack talk if it was Georgia
sure.
LSU week or whatever the case may be.
Right,
Or I'd see him, walking down the street with his kids on their bikes or just playing and would always stop and talk. And,
hmm,
he had given me a couple of Blue Angel tickets to the homecoming show last year. And, just a great guy. Was into powerlifting, did a couple of competitions, and I'd see him at the gym and would talk. And, just the nicest kid and nicest guy, and, good husband and a good father. And, it makes me think what was going on so bad, and if I would have known, would I have been able to do anything? If I would have known or had an inkling that he was struggling as bad as he was, is there something I could have said to him or done for him, or something that would have changed it and he would still be with us? I ask myself that every day. Every time I see his kids and his wife, I ask myself that.
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
Yeah.
That's a burden to carry right there. But
Yep. Yep.
it's not your thing. It's not your burden. I mean, you can't change people. You can't change their minds necessarily.
Sure.
It doesn't sound like you were a jerk to them by any means. So
No.
I mean,
No.
you just be nice to people and show them the light in you, and
Yep.
what they do with that is up to them. Don't carry
Right.
that burden.
Right. No, I understand. I've had people tell me that, and I try to do what I can for his kids now and his wife, and every time I see him, I talk to the kids, play with the kids, and it actually got to the point where a few weeks ago I was out of town for work, and my wife called me 2 afternoons in a row about 4:30, and she's like, guess who's at the front door and wants to play? His two kids, his two older kids. He's got, I want to say, the youngest is 16 months or so, but then he's got a 6-year-old and a 7-year-old. And the 6-year-old and 7-year-old ride their scooters down, ride their bikes down, and they were here wanting to play, and they'll come over and they'll sit for an hour and talk on the porch. And
That's
and
cool.
every time I do that, I always, once they leave or once I come back in, at some point between when they're here, when I go to bed at night, I talked to Tyler, and it kind of sounds kind of weird maybe, but I'm like, you know what? The kids were good today. I saw them. I talked to them. They're doing okay. Just almost to get it off of my chest and to let him know, hey, I know you're watching, but they're doing okay right now. So
yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
Well, good on you for stepping up and filling that gap where it needed to be.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
very
yeah, that's
much.
yeah.
that's really good of
Thank
you,
you,
man.
thank you.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, we always ask that question, or we always ask the question at some point when we have a guest of like, when was a suffering moment and how did you see yourself out of it? We're not going
Yep,
to ask that question today because you essentially hit it on the head. So
sure,
I
sure.
appreciate you sharing that. And so now you kind of run for Tyler, is that right?
I do. So my first race after September 16th was the End of Watch 42-hour ruck event.
Hmm.
And I did that race, and going into that race, my goal was to honor Tyler and to finish that race. And that was I want to say that race is in its maybe eighth year coming up. And there's only been no, there's only been three finished prior to last year. There was only three finishers of the 42-hour solo event, and I was one of those finishers. So last year when I finished it, made the second year in a row that I finished it, and I finished that race in Tyler's honor. And my goal
That's
going
cool.
forward is to race for Tyler, to wear his patch that he had on his U.S. Navy uniform, his logistics patch. I have that on my ruck. I have that on all of my running gear. I just did the Chief Ladiga 100-mile race in Alabama, and I had his patch with me the entire time, and I kind of run in his honor. It makes me feel like I'm doing something good for him and keeping his spirit and his name alive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about this end of watch ruck. You did the 42 hour.
I did the 42 hour. There's different events. It's put on, it's put on by organization here in Pensacola, and it's a lot of police officers, a lot of retired officers, a lot of military. And what it does is it honors the fallen officers from the prior year. So this year they're coming up. It'll be the 2026 race, which will honor all of the fallen officers from 2025. So
Okay.
each lap that we do, there's different events. I want to say there's a 6 hour, an 8 hour, a 10 hour, 12 hour, then a 24 hour, and a 42 hour. And the 42 hour, 24 and the 42, you can either do solo event or you can do it as a team.
Okay.
So that's kind of the format of this race. Each lap you do, it's a 1 mile loop. So it's 1 mile every 30 minutes for the duration that you're signed up for. So the 42 hour, it's an 84-hour event, 1 lap every 30 minutes for 42 hours, and so on. So 24 hour, you're doing 48 miles. Each lap that it goes around, one of the officers, each officer has their name on a little 1 pound weight. That 1 pound weight goes around each lap with someone. So every lap we're honoring a different fallen officer.
That's cool. Yeah, that's
Yeah, it's a
really
good
neat.
event. It's a really good event. Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, you said that, and I saw you got the shirt on, so I was
I
like, oh
do.
yeah, well, yeah,
Yeah. It's
ask
a really
about
good
it.
event. Really good event. It's a really good group of guys that put that event on. It's for a great cause, great mission, and we've made some of the best friends that we have here in Pensacola since we've been here. We've met through that organization.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I think that's definitely
Yep.
something that Suffer Up will be getting involved with this year.
Yeah. It'll be great. We're looking forward to that.
Yeah, I got the dates. It's in October. Let's see. We'll put a little plug. We'll have to get. Is it what's the guy's name? Is it Peter?
Peter Parker. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
Peter Parker.
Spider-Man.
We'll have to get him on here.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. But yeah,
Yep.
looks like it is October 9th, 10th, and
Mhm.
11th, I believe. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's what it
Sounds
looks
right.
like this year. So we're gonna try
Yep.
to be out there this year, and not sure what distance we'll do. Maybe with 42. We'll see how I heal after my 100.
Yeah.
So
Let's do it.
yeah,
We'll have to be the next two finishers, Nate.
yeah, that'll be great.
Well,
So yeah,
after this past year, there's 5 finishers now. So
okay.
yeah.
That's
But
fine.
you're
We can
two
do
of
that.
those, right?
I was two, and there was another young lady that finished both of them with me as well. And
Okay,
the
so
other
there's only
finishers kind of rotated. Yeah, there's only
Gotcha.
two peats. Only two peats.
Wow,
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
awesome.
And you, is it a 20-pound entry weight? Like if you had a 20-pound plate carrier?
Yeah, it's a minimum of 20 pounds. Yep.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, very good. We'll have to come out
Yep.
there and
Yeah.
spend 42 hours awake. That sounds great.
Let's
Yeah.
do it.
That ties
it
in
was a
well with
blast, man.
our May every month this year. We've been trying to promote some kind of challenge for our listeners and our
Mhm.
followers on the podcast. And this month's is to ruck 1 mile a day. So
Okay.
that's what we're preparing for. We'll say.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. So yeah, Scott, what do you foresee in the near future for you and your mission with Tyler? Like, what's next? What do
Yeah.
you
So
have planned?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So all of the races that I'm doing going forward, starting with that end of watch race, I'm running for military suicide awareness. So that's the cause, that's my why at this point. I'm working with an attorney now to kind of guide me on the process. I'm really new to this, and I haven't, it's something I never thought I'd really be doing. But starting a 501c3, getting an LLC, and coming up with an organization, a charity per se, that will, take in donations or take in, money or whatever the case may be, and donate it to suicide, families who have gone through the suicide prevention, put into a fund, or however it works. And like I said, I'm learning, but that we can kind of some way supplement the families of military officers or military staff who have lost their lives to suicide. So I've got a name, I've got a tagline, and we're in the processes of getting that worked up. This will be the first time that I'm actually saying the name. I haven't told anyone before or said it out, but the foundation of the charity is going to be called Tyler's Watch,
Okay.
and the tagline is going to be "Stand Watch for One Another." So
I like that. Yeah.
that's the names. That's kind of what it's going to be. So, I'm hoping by my next race that I've got a little bit of, t-shirts and some hats just print it up that we can just kind of get, some word of mouth, some name recognition out. Hopefully within the next few months we could have the 501c3 ready to go and kind of start the process. I do have a couple of sponsors now that I'm working with, and the ones I'm working with now were really they're not they're great sponsors, and I'll mention them here in a second, but it's more of them keeping me healthy and keeping me ready for the races through PT work and through coaching work.
Yeah.
The ultimate goal is to have donations coming in that we have some monetary value that we can, Tyler's family, for instance, her bills didn't go away. She still has her mortgage, and,
Yeah.
she still has daycare bills and school tuitions and groceries and everything else that comes with being a parent. She's only doing
Yeah.
it now on one income. So
Sure.
her bills don't go away, unfortunately. So anything that we can do or that I can do to help her, that's my goal going forward. With that, if it's okay, I'd like to mention the sponsors that have helped me so far, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
Absolutely. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So first one that came on, and this is one that I love working with, and you'll hear why in a second. It's Fate's Tattoo here in Pensacola. I met him getting a tattoo a few years ago. Robert Smith, just an awesome guy. Him and his wife both work. He actually is part owner with Fate's Tattoo, and they've been awesome to work with, and they've helped us out in this mission as well. Then Fleet Feet of Pensacola. Micaiah and his wife have, given some great discounts and let me purchase some materials and some running shoes and things there. And, discounts always help because things aren't cheap, especially running shoes. People think running is a cheap sport, until you actually
Yeah.
go to run and you're going through shoes every 3 and 4 months and all that stuff. Henry Chiropractic is another one. He lets me use a lot of his rehab machines and rehab equipment. He's an ultra runner himself, Dr. Henry, and just a great guy to work with and keeps me healthy and keeps me ready to go. And then the last one
Yeah.
is Barefoot Will Coaching. I had some hip injury and knee injury after my Chief Ladigo 100, so I'm working with Will now with Barefoot Will Coaching, and he is putting me through some PT exercises. And
Oh, good.
he has a PT background. He's actually a physical therapist, but he's putting me through some exercises and really strengthened the muscles in my hip and my knee, and I can definitely feel the difference. So those four now are my four originals. So from there, we're hoping to build that list up, and ultimately, like I said, the more we can get word of mouth out and have, whatever ready to go. And like I said, still learning, so I don't really know what it all consists of, but at some point be in a position that we can help those families and help Tyler's family out.
Yeah. That's
That's
really good.
awesome. How does
Yeah.
how does the tattoo guy contribute to your running?
So he actually did pay 2 entries for races.
That's awesome.
Oh, wow.
He bought a pair of shoes this past race. So
Wow.
his obviously was a monetary value, but it was more for getting me into the race and getting
Yeah.
me going because he knew why I was running. So his
Yeah.
goal was to get me into the race and get me going. So I mean, he was the first one, and we kind of talked about it by accident. Last year or 2 years ago, I was getting that tattoo from him, and he's like, "Well, man, who are your sponsors?" And I was like, "I don't have any sponsors. I'm like back of the pack, dude. I'm like the last person to finish these races." And he's like, "Well, I'll sponsor you. We'll sponsor you. The shop will sponsor you." I'm
Wow.
like, "You're joking. Get out of here." Well, he brought it up again, a few months later, and him and I were texting back and forth, and he's like, "Well, when is your next race and how much does it cost to get in it?" So I'll let him know, and within minutes he had sent me the money, and he's like, Here's a
That's
little
cool.
extra, but you buy a new pair of shoes."
Wow.
So,
That's
I mean,
awesome.
yeah, for somebody like myself who never really thought, I mean, I was just signing up for races, and to
Mhm.
get
Yeah.
from that point, signed up for races, and where I started to getting now, I'm looking at doing a 501c3 for, military suicide awareness. I never thought that was going to happen. Never thought I'd be anywhere near this. So,
Wow.
That's cool.
yep.
I
Yeah,
love
That's
it,
things
man.
awesome.
change in life. Your perspective on things change, and like I said, on September 16th of last year, my whole outlook and everything that I thought I was living for and doing, and the reason that I was doing things, everything changed on that day. And it
Yeah.
was like almost like a rebirth or an awakening. I hear people talk about rebirth and they were reborn, and I don't know if that's what this is, but something happened in me that day, and I don't know that it'll ever change.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, good deal, man. Well, we'll
Yep.
be on the lookout for remind me the name again, Tyler's Watch. Is that right?
Tyler's watch. Yep.
Tyler's Watch. We'll be on the lookout for that. We're really
Yep.
excited to see, how this journey goes as you bring not only, memory to your friend, but also just awareness for
Sure.
just suicide prevention and the effects that it has not only on families, but also close friends, as you
Yep.
illustrated for us. So
Yeah.
we
Thank you
really,
guys.
yeah, absolutely. We really appreciate that. And, in lieu of that too, listeners, we also just want to remind you that our Run Red virtual 5K is live as well. Um, if you want to get on there, and the rules are real simple. Donate $20 to Red Flamingo Foundation to stop suicide. They're a local nonprofit here that benefits people, and that's what we're here for. We're here for people. And then $20 donation, run your Strava segment, Garmin, whatever you want documented on, post it on social media, tag Supper Up and Red Flamingo, and then you're entered. First place this year, the fastest time that we get for that, we'll get a free entry into the Punch Out Ultra 2027. So we're excited to give that away to the fastest 5Ker. And then we're going to have a random person that gets drawn for swag bag from Red Flamingo and Supper Up stuff. So we're excited to do this to try to help get you guys involved with Supper Up as well as what we're doing behind Red Flamingo. And yeah, I'm loving all these foundations and organizations that we're partnering with to kind of just bring awareness. Everybody's has a different mission, but I would say less than 5% of the world has missions that are truly impacting and affecting other people like this. So
Yeah.
Yep.
we're very thankful to be able to highlight individuals like this. So
Yeah.
Yep.
very
Well,
good.
Scott,
Yeah.
something else that Nate and I would like to do, man,
Sure.
we'd like to offer you a free spot in our punch out next year in honor of Tyler, man.
Oh man, that's awesome. That's awesome. I appreciate that. I really do. Yep. And yeah, what I may do is I'll talk with his wife Jennifer, and maybe they can come out and just be there and
Yeah.
kind of see the event and kind of witness what's going on. But guys, I appreciate that. The event you guys put on last year, I know that was y'all's first event. Man, y'all did an absolutely amazing job. I mean, from the volunteers you had to the course setup to the way it was run. I mean, you guys just did a phenomenal job. And if I wouldn't have known that was your first event, honestly, I wouldn't have thought. I'd have thought y'all had been doing this for years. I mean, very professional and top notch. You put on a great event.
Well,
I
thank you.
appreciate
We really
that.
appreciate that.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to doing this year as well.
awesome.
We'll
February
see.
27th, 2027. Easy one to remember. So
Awesome. Excellent.
come on out there. Yeah, and we're a little ways out, so we got time to hash out the deets. But as far as that race, we also learned a lot as a race
hmm
director.
hmm
I think for the most part, because we sent out Google reviews, the
Okay.
reviews were remarkably positive. We didn't have the couple, I don't even consider feedback negative, but the couple that we got that were like maybe slightly negative, it was like so
Constructive.
trivial that I'm like, yeah, constructive. It was so trivial that I'm like, if that's
Yeah.
what they have to offer, I think we did an okay job. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, we definitely took those though. Aid station food and stuff like that. We're gonna have possibly a little change at the
We'll
turnaround as
have
far
more
as food and all
pickles,
that.
guys. Everybody wanted more pickles. We'll have
Yeah,
more pickles.
More pickles. Okay. All
I
right.
bought 4 massive jars of like the ginormous pickles at Sam's Club
Wow.
and
Not
cut them
enough
Yeah.
into
pickles.
four. It still wasn't enough pickles for these guys. So
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
yeah, but
Well, I
too like,
mean,
go ahead.
I said we talked about it earlier. Ultras are like buffets.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, unless you just keep bringing it out tray by tray, we may not have enough.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, most of the time when I get to the aid stations, they're pretty well picked through.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm used to just having leftover. Someone's half-eaten quesadilla, like whatever, that's
Yeah.
fine. When you're out of food, I'll
Man,
eat that one.
I don't know about that. I've seen some of your times you're running these races in, man. You're pretty quick.
Well, I appreciate
Yeah.
it.
You're
Don't
pretty quick.
don't let Nate sandbag, man. He's not as slow as he says he
Yeah.
is.
No, I've seen some of his runs. He's not slow at all.
I appreciate it. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
we'll we'll see. I mean, I've got the 100 miler in September, and I've got some big goals. We'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
But it's in the
Okay.
mountains. It's in the mountains. So I'm gonna let the mountains humble me. But
Yeah.
yeah, we'll
You'll be
see
all
what
right.
happens. Yeah.
You'll be
But
you'll be
Yeah.
just fine. I have total confidence in you.
thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. Yep.
any closing remarks, gentlemen?
No, I just want to thank you
Scott.
guys again for having me and listening, and certainly being a part of, and helping me promote and being a part of what I'm doing, my military suicide awareness run. And like I said, anything we can do to bring light to it and make people more aware and how it's impacted is awesome. And I appreciate you guys.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
No
Scott,
problem.
we really appreciate you taking the time to come on the podcast and share your story, share your why, and share a little bit about Tyler, man. I think
Yep.
that's awesome. Having been in the military myself and
Yep.
the Navy
Yep.
specifically, man, I really appreciate anybody who's willing to do something for fellow service members and their families. So thank you.
Yep. Well, thank you for your service as well.
Thanks, man.
Awesome, guys. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning into this episode of the Supper Up Podcast with Nate, Ryan, and our good friend and guest, Scott Weidenbacher. Please stay tuned for more information as he develops what he is doing to run for Tyler and Tyler's Watch. So we love you guys so much. Thanks so much for tuning into the channel where every Monday we drop something new for you guys to listen to hopefully help you level up and better your life one day at a time. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in. We love y'all. And as always,
Suffer up.
Suffer up.